Level 1. The Bedroom Tactician. You are sitting in the dark. The only light in the room comes from the pale blue glow of your laptop screen. It is 3:14 a.m. on a Thursday. You have to be at your data entry job in less than 5 hours, but you are not looking at the clock. You are looking at a 2D match engine, watching tiny colored dots move across a virtual pitch. You are managing a third-tier German team you had never heard of 3 weeks ago. You just spent 45 minutes tweaking the individual instructions of a virtual defensive midfielder because your expected goals, your XG, dropped by 0.2 over the last 3 matches. You change his role to a halfback. You lower his pressing intensity. You tell yourself you are just a perfectionist. You hit continue. Your desk is a graveyard of empty energy drink cans and cold coffee mugs. Your phone buzzed 2 hours ago. It was your girlfriend. She asked if you were coming to bed. You swiped the notification away without replying. You told yourself you would just play one more match. That was 5 matches ago. The screen shifts to the post-match inbox. You won 1-0. A digital headline praises your tactical genius. Your dopamine spikes for exactly 4 seconds. Then, the emptiness rushes back in. It is a specific kind of emptiness, the kind that comes from knowing you are dedicating the most obsessive, brilliant parts of your brain to a database that does not exist in the real world. You are 24 years old. You have $142 in your checking account. You are failing at your real job. You are failing in your relationship. But in this digital universe, you have a 78% win rate. You have 14 tabs of scout reports open, tracking a fictional 6-year-old wonder kid from Colombia with 18 determination and 16 passing. You understand the spatial mechanics of a high-intensity gegenpress better than you understand your own life trajectory. You know exactly how to exploit the half spaces using an inverted winger and a Mazzala on attack duty. You do not know how you are going to pay your car insurance next week. You press the spacebar to advance the calendar. Your eyes burn. Your lower back throbs from sitting in a cheap chair you bought at a thrift store. You see the digital date tick forward. September 14th. September 15th. You are trading your actual time on Earth for virtual time in a simulated reality. You tell yourself it is just a game, a hobby to decompress. But the truth is much darker. It is an escape from a life where you have zero control, into a world where you have absolute control. A world where numbers behave logically, where tactics yield predictable results, and where you are finally recognized as a genius. You hear a truck rumble outside your window. The sun is starting to come up, casting a gray light through your blinds. You take a breath of stale air. You click the tactics screen again. You start preparing for the next fixture. Level 2, the Sunday League Volunteer. You close the laptop. You decide the screen is no longer enough. You want to feel the grass. You pay $250 you can barely afford for a grassroots coaching license. You sit in a drafty community center for 4 consecutive weekends, listening to an instructor who peaked in high school talk about safeguarding and basic cone drills. It feels insulting to your intellect. You know the spatial intricacies of Roberto De Zerbi's build-up structures, and they are teaching you how to organize a basic passing triangle. But you swallow your pride, smile, and nod, because you need the piece of paper to make it real. You get a gig. It is strictly unpaid. You are the manager of an amateur Sunday League team. They are sponsored by a local plumbing company. You show up for your first training session on a Tuesday night in November. The pitch is half-frozen mud, dimly lit by 2 flickering halogen bulbs mounted on a rusted pole. Out of a squad of 20, 5 guys show up. One of them is still wearing his steel-toe work boots. Your star striker texts you 40 minutes late to say he can't make it because his car won't start. You realize very quickly that 18 determination in a database does not translate to real life. You are managing human unreliability, not tactical systems. Sunday morning, match day. It is 6:30 and you are standing in a freezing laundromat, feeding coins into a machine to wash 15 mud-caked polyester bibs that smell like deep heat cream and stale beer. You are the manager, the kit man, the physio, and the tactical architect. You carry a mesh bag of underinflated footballs and a clipboard to the municipal park. There are no stands. There are no fans. Just 2 bored girlfriends scrolling on their phones and an old man walking a golden retriever. Your players arrive hungover. You try to deliver a pre-match team talk in a locker room that smells of bleach and damp socks. You draw a 4-2-3-1 formation on a tactical whiteboard you bought on Amazon. You explain the concept of the mid-block and how you want the fullbacks to invert during the second phase of possession. They stare at you blankly. The center back, a 3-4-year-old bricklayer named Gary who smokes at halftime, wipes his nose and says, "Right, so just kick it long up to Dave then." You die a little inside. You erase the board. You nod. "Yeah, Gary, just kick it long to Dave." The game starts. It is chaotic, violent, and completely devoid of any tactical structure. The referee is a 60-year-old man who barely leaves the center circle. Your tactical vision is shredded within 4 minutes by a heavy 2-footed tackle and a long ball over the top. You stand on the touchline shivering in a cheap raincoat. Your shoes are soaked through. You watch your team lose 4-1 to a pub side that hasn't held a single training session all season. You realize that human beings are not lines of code. They have egos, hangovers, and strict physical limits. After the final whistle, you pack up the cones in the freezing rain alone. You are miserable. But as you walk to your car, wet and defeated, your brain is already analyzing the spatial gaps in your midfield transition. The sickness has left the screen. It is in your blood now. Level 3, the regional scout. You finally break into the professional pyramid. You leverage that bottom-tier coaching license and a tactical blog nobody read into a part-time gig for a League 2 club. The pay is insulting. You make $600 a month, plus a mileage stipend that barely covers the gas in your 2008 Honda Civic. But the club crest is on your ID badge. You are officially inside the machine. Your reality is not glamorous. It is driving 3 hours on a Tuesday night through driving rain to a bleak, floodlit gravel pitch in a town with one intersection. You are there to watch a regional U18 Cup match. You sit in the metal bleachers alone. You hold a cheap stopwatch in one hand and a soggy notepad in the other. Your feet are numb. Your jacket is not waterproof. You drink lukewarm coffee from a thermos while watching teenagers kick each other in the shins. You are not looking for goals. You are looking for specific, microscopic data points. Progressive carries, pass completion under pressure, defensive positioning during a low block transition. You spot a 7-year-old holding midfielder. He is undersized, maybe 140 pounds soaking wet. The local scouts write him off as too weak, but you see it. You see his spatial awareness. He scans over his shoulder every 4 seconds before receiving the ball. He constantly recalculates the geometry of the pitch. He operates in the half spaces seamlessly. In the database in your head, his anticipation is a 16. You drive home. It is 100 AM. You sit at your kitchen table until 430 AM, compiling a 14-page dossier. You pull clips from Y-Scout. You map his expected assists, his XA, and his volume of line-breaking passes. You format it perfectly. You attach it to an email and send it to the chief scout. You go to sleep feeling like you just found the next generational talent. 2 weeks later, the transfer window opens. The club signs a 1-year-old journeyman midfielder with a history of hamstring tears. They pay him $3,000 a week. You look into it. The journeyman shares an agent with the club's director of football. You check the internal server where you uploaded your 14-page dossier on the 17-year-old prodigy. The system tracks file access. Next to your report, the read count is 0. Nobody opened it. Nobody even clicked the email. You stare at the screen. You realize for the first time that professional football is not a meritocracy. It is a closed ecosystem of favors, nepotism, and archaic mentalities that protect their own. The tactical purity you obsess over does not matter here. Politics matter. You feel a profound, nauseating betrayal. You want to quit. You want to throw your ID badge in the trash. Instead, you pick up your car keys. You have another U18 match to watch in a town 2 hours away. The cycle of the scout is silent suffering. You drive. Level 4, the Lower-League Survivalist. You get the call. A struggling League 2 club sacks their manager on a Tuesday after a 6-game losing streak. They are sitting 23rd in the table, staring relegation in the face. They do not hire you because of your brilliant tactical mind. They hire you because you are desperate enough to accept a one-year rolling contract worth $42,000. It is less money than you made doing data entry, considering the 8-hour work weeks. But the placard on the door says, First Team Manager. You have officially arrived. Your office is a windowless, breeze-block room under the main stand. It perpetually smells of damp towels, deep heat cream, and institutional failure. The chairman sits you down and hands you the financials. Your transfer budget is exactly zero. Your wage budget has $400 a week of remaining wiggle room. That is enough to sign one desperate free agent who hasn't played professional minutes since tearing his ACL in the Cypriot Second Division 2 years ago. You walk onto the training pitch on your first day holding your tactical clipboard. You are eager. You try to implement the fluid 4-3-3 system you perfected in the digital database. You explain positional play, the concept of numerical superiority in the build-up, and third man runs. The club captain, a 33-year-old center half with a mortgage and absolutely no cartilage left in his knees, stares at you like you are speaking a dead language. You lose your first 3 matches trying to play beautiful football. You dominate 65% of the possession, but you concede goals from long throw-ins, defensive set pieces, and second balls. You check the XG data models. The math says you are unlucky. The league table says you are going down. The pressure becomes physical. It sits on your chest like a stone. After a 3-0 away loss on a freezing Tuesday night in Grimsby, a group of 60 furious fans wait by the team bus. They do not see a tactical visionary. They see the man ruining their weekend. They scream obscenities at you while you walk toward the door with your head down. Someone spits on the shoulder of your jacket. You get on the bus, sit in the front seat, and do not speak for the 3-hour drive home. The local newspaper runs a back-page headline the next morning, calling for your immediate dismissal, clueless and out of his depth. You panic. You look at your bank account. If you are sacked, you have nothing to fall back on. You have no degree, no backup plan, and the label of a failed lower league manager. So, you abandon everything you believe in. You scrap the 4-3-3. You switch to a rigid, soulless 4-4-2 low block. You drop your 19-year-old technical ball-playing defender and start a 6'4" enforcer who cannot complete a 5-yard pass but can hit a brick back where it came from. You instruct your team to bypass the midfield entirely. Clear it into row Z. Play for the 0-0. Pray for a corner kick. It works. You grind out an ugly one to 0 win from a deflected set piece. Then a 0-0 draw. Then another 1-0 win. The football is atrocious. It is a war of attrition, soul-destroying anti-football that makes your eyes bleed to watch, but the points accumulate. You drag the team out of the relegation zone and secure 17th place on the final day of the season. The chairman shakes your hand. The local press writes a mild column praising your pragmatic grit. But you sit alone in your dark office that night, staring at your tactical whiteboard. You saved your job, but the cost was your identity. You have become the exact type of dinosaur manager you swore you would never be. You pour a cheap whiskey into a paper water cup. You drink it in the dark. You open your laptop. You start preparing for preseason. Level 5. The Championship Promotion Chaser. You are in the meat grinder now, the English Championship. 46 league games, plus domestic cups. You are playing a competitive match every 3 days for 9 consecutive months. The physical toll on the players is immense, but the psychological toll on you is catastrophic. You have moved a fold-out cot into your office at the training ground. You sleep there 3 nights a week. Your diet consists of black coffee, room temperature pasta, and paracetamol. You haven't had a meaningful conversation with your spouse in 2 months that didn't end in a quiet, exhausted argument about your absence. You are no longer just managing tactics. You are managing millionaires. And worse, you are managing their representatives. Your starting striker, a 2-3-year-old with an inflated ego and 18 goals this season, knocks on your door on a Thursday morning. His agent is on speakerphone. They are demanding a new contract worth $35,000 a week, accompanied by a massive relegation release clause. The agent subtly threatens that the striker might experience some sudden hamstring tightness before Saturday's crucial fixture if the board doesn't capitulate. This is the dark arts of modern football. You are being extorted. You smile, nod, and tell them you will speak to the director of football immediately. The moment they leave, you punch the side of your metal filing cabinet so hard you bruise two knuckles. You are a tactical visionary who is currently being held hostage by a 2-3 year old who cares more about his Instagram engagement metrics than your high pressing triggers. But despite the toxicity, your system is working. You have finally synthesized your early tactical ideals with the brutal pragmatism you learned in the lower leagues. You are playing a fluid 3-4-2-1. You navigate the unforgiving winter schedule, meticulously rotating your squad based on red zone fatigue data and blood lactate levels provided by your sports science department. You sit third in the table. May arrives. You make it through the playoffs to the final at Wembley Stadium. It is universally billed as the most lucrative single match in world sports. Promotion to the Premier League guarantees the club a minimum of $120 million in broadcast rights and parachute payments. The financial survival and trajectory of an entire corporate institution rests entirely on the next 90 minutes of your life. The tension in the dressing room before kickoff is so thick it feels like you are breathing underwater. You look at your players, one of them is vomiting in the toilets from raw nerves. You deliver a speech you rehearsed in front of a mirror at 2:00 a.m. The match is a blur of adrenaline, shouting, and sheer terror. In the 88th minute, your wingback overlaps, cuts the ball back to the edge of the box, and your extorting striker slots it into the bottom corner, 1-0. The final whistle blows. Confetti rains down from the stadium roof. 20,000 fans chant your name in unison. The chairman hugs you on the pitch, tears streaming down his face. You have secured the promised land. You are going to the Premier League. You stand on the grass, covered in champagne, smiling for the television cameras. But internally, your chest is incredibly tight. You do not feel joy. You feel an overwhelming, suffocating dread. You are looking at your celebrating players and calculating the cold. Hard fact that this current squad will be relegated by Christmas if you don't sign 6 elite players immediately. The whistle just blew, but your brain is already running the survival math. The sickness never stops. Level 6. The Pragmatic Mid-Table Stabilizer. You are in the Premier League, the promised land. The television broadcast rights alone generate $160 million for your club this season. That number hangs over every single decision you make. You start the campaign naive. You try to play your expansive, beautiful 3-4-2-1 system against a top-tier side. You implement a high press. You hold a suicidal high defensive line. You are dismantled 5-0 inches 45 minutes. The opposition's $80 million inverted winger exploits the space behind your wingbacks with terrifying, algorithmic precision. You sit in the post-match press conference, staring blankly at a wall of microphones, feeling like a fraud exposed on a global stage. On Monday morning, you are summoned to the boardroom. The American ownership group is on a video call from 6 time zones away. They do not care about your footballing philosophy. They care about asset protection. They care about avoiding the $120 million financial black hole of relegation. The directive is cold and unambiguous: stop bleeding goals, or we will find someone who can. So, you murder your ideals. You transition to a flat, cynical 5-4-1 low block. You instruct your creative midfielders to track back so deep they are essentially auxiliary center halves. You run repetitive, grueling defensive shape drills until your players despise you. You train your squad to commit tactical fouls during opposition transition phases just to break the rhythm of the game. You become the manager that elite teams hate playing against. You grind out ugly 1-1 draws away at hostile grounds. You steal 1-0 victories from deflected set-piece scrambles. The media scrutiny is a relentless, crushing weight. You face the press every 3 days. A room full of journalists armed with digital recorders, waiting for a single misspoken word to generate clickbait headlines. They ask why your football is so negative. They quote your old, possession-heavy expected goals metrics back to you like a criminal indictment. You stare directly into the camera lenses and deliver rehearsed platitudes about defensive solidity, team character, and respecting the point. You are lying, and you know they know you are lying. Your daily life is a corporate nightmare. Your phone rings at 1:00 a.m. It is your director of football. Your starting goalkeeper has been photographed outside a nightclub. You spend your Tuesday morning managing a PR crisis and finding a millionaire 2 weeks' wages instead of reviewing tactical tape. But the grim mathematics work. You accumulate exactly 42 points. You finish 14th in the table. You are mathematically safe. At the end of season gala, you wear a bespoke $4,000 tuxedo. You clink champagne glasses with venture capitalists who pat you on the back for securing their annual dividends. But when you go back to your hotel room, untie the bow tie, and look in the bathroom mirror, you do not recognize the manager staring back. The young idealist who obsessed over fluid-attacking football is dead. You are a corporate risk mitigation officer in a sponsored tracksuit. Your new contract pays you $3.2 million a year. It feels exactly like a bribe. You turn off the light, lie in the dark, and wait for the fixture list to come out. Level 7, the European Contender. You hear the anthem, the operatic choir echoing around a 60,000-seat stadium on a crisp Tuesday night. It is the Champions League. It is the exact moment you fantasized about when you were playing a video game at 3:00 a.m. in your cheap apartment a decade ago. You stand in the technical area in a tailored black overcoat, listening to the music, and all you can feel is a paralyzing, cold dread. You have optimized your mid-table squad into a high-functioning machine, qualifying for Europe through sheer tactical exhaustion, but you are no longer playing against other managers. You are competing against sovereign wealth funds with $1 billion wage bills and squads assembled by algorithms. Your obsession has mutated into a clinical illness. You do not watch football anymore. You consume raw telemetry. Your iPad is mounted in the dugout, streaming a live feed of biometric player data via the GPS trackers sewn into their shirts. You are tracking the high-speed running meters and heart rate variability of your wingbacks in real time. In the 63rd minute, your head of sports science whispers in your ear that your central midfielder has hit the red zone for lactic acid buildup. You make a substitution. You do not do it based on the flow of the game or managerial intuition. You do it because an analytics model told you a hamstring tear is 14% more likely to occur in the next 5 minutes. You have stripped the soul out of the sport. You are a mathematician managing human flesh. You win the match 2-1 against a Spanish giant. The media calls it a tactical masterclass. You go home, it is 1:30 a.m. Your spouse and 2 children are asleep. You walk into your own 6-bedroom mansion like a burglar, careful not to make a sound. The next morning, you sit at the breakfast table. Your 7-year-old son is telling you a story about a project at school. You nod, you smile, but you are not hearing a single word he is saying. You are staring at the salt and pepper shakers and a bottle of hot sauce, subconsciously arranging them into a defensive double pivot to counter a 4-2-3-1 pressing trap. Your spouse stops talking. She sets her coffee mug down. She looks at you with a mix of pity and profound, quiet grief. She knows she lost you years ago, not to another person, but to a tactical heat map. You are physically sitting at the kitchen table, but mentally, you are permanently trapped in the transition phases of a football pitch. You cannot turn it off. You realize you have forgotten how to be a father. You have forgotten how to be a husband. You are making $6 million a year. You have a driver, you have a personal chef, but you are a prisoner inside your own skull. You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, seeing thermal pitch maps and pass networks glowing in the dark behind your eyelids. Your own sleep is tracked by a biometric ring, which sends data to a private physician who prescribes you increasingly heavy sedatives. You take the pills at midnight so you can force your brain to shut down for 4 hours, wake up at 5:00 a.m., drive to the training ground in the dark, and do it all again. The pursuit of tactical perfection requires a blood sacrifice. The blood is yours. Level 8, the Treble Winner. The final whistle blows in Istanbul. The sound is a physical force, 80,000 voices collapsing into a single deafening roar. You have done it. You have won the domestic league with 98 points. You have won the domestic cup. And now, you have secured the Champions League, the treble. You are mathematically, definitively, one of the greatest managers in the history of the sport. You walk onto the pitch. Confetti, metallic and sharp, rains down from the stadium roof, sticking to your sweat-soaked $5,000 suit. The broadcast cameras swarm you, pressing lenses inches from your face. They want the emotion. They want the tears of joy. You force a smile that feels like it might crack your jaw. You hug your captain, a $110 million center back whose career you meticulously reconstructed using predictive passing models. He is sobbing into your shoulder. You pat his back. You feel absolutely nothing. You stand on the podium. They hand you the trophy. It weighs exactly 16.5 pounds, cold, solid silver. You lift it above your head. The flashbulbs blind you. This is the absolute pinnacle of human achievement in your profession. There is literally no higher peak. You have solved football. Your team overperformed their expected points XPTs by 11.4. You engineered a tactical system so suffocating, so flawlessly integrated, that opposition managers get sacked the morning after playing you. And yet, as you stand there holding the silver cup, a terrifying, cavernous emptiness opens up inside your chest. The adrenaline that has fueled you for 15 years suddenly evaporates, and underneath it, there is just a void. You realize the horrifying truth. The suffering was the point. The agonizing, sleepless nights, the constant fear of failure, the obsessive tinkering with pressing triggers and asymmetrical defensive shapes that was the only thing keeping you tethered to the world. You were a junkie, and tactical anxiety was your drug. Now that the puzzle is solved, you have no purpose. 2 hours later, the dressing room is empty. The players have taken the trophy to a private VIP nightclub booked by the club's ownership group. The CEO of the club just texted you an offer for a new contract worth $15 million a year. You do not reply. You sit alone on a cold metal bench, staring at a discarded roll of athletic tape and a puddle of spilled champagne on the tile floor. Your phone shows 412 unread messages from agents, journalists, and sycophants. There are 0 messages from the people who used to matter, because you pushed them all away a decade ago. You have won everything there is to win in this world. You are completely, utterly bankrupt. You drop your phone into your bag, zip it shut, and walk out into the concrete hallway alone. Level 9. The national team savior. You resign from the club game. You sit at a press conference, cite exhaustion, and tell the cameras you need a sabbatical to recharge. You last exactly 8 months before the silence of your sprawling. Empty house becomes completely deafening. When the National Football Association calls, you answer. You are appointed the manager of the national team. You convince yourself this is the perfect compromise. No more grueling 6-0 game club seasons. No more daily injury crises. No more agents extorting you on a Thursday morning. You only manage 10 to 15 fixtures a year. It sounds like an executive retirement gig. It is a trap. You have traded the daily tactical grind for a crushing, monolithic, psychological weight. You are no longer managing a corporate football entity. You are carrying the fragile emotional state of 55 million citizens. When you walk down the street, you are not a local celebrity. You are either a national savior or a national disgrace. There is absolutely no middle ground. Your tactical brilliance, the very thing that built your career, is instantly neutralized by the international calendar. In club football, you had 200 training sessions a year to drill your automated pressing triggers and asymmetrical overloads. Here, you get the players for 72 chaotic hours before a major qualifying fixture. You are trying to install a complex 4-2-3-1 positional play system into 23 exhausted millionaires who just flew in from 4 different countries. Worse, half of them deeply despise each other because of domestic club rivalries. You stand on the training pitch and watch your star left winger purposefully ignore an overlapping run from your left back simply because they play for opposing clubs in Manchester. You cannot fix systemic hatred in 3 days. The bureaucracy is suffocating. You answer to a committee of FA executives, men in expensive blazers who have never kicked a football, demanding you select a specific, aging center forward, because his jersey sales drive the association's commercial revenue. You are making $7.5 million a year, but your actual job is diplomacy, public relations, and political appeasement. The World Cup arrives. You spend a month locked in a luxury fortress in a foreign country, isolated from the rest of society. The pressure is a physical density in the air. You navigate the group stages, Then the knockouts, reaching the quarterfinal. The match goes to a penalty shootout. You stand on the touchline with your arms folded inside your tailored suit. Your smartwatch registers your heart rate at 144 beats per minute. You realize, with a sickening clarity, that you are entirely powerless. All your data models, your expected goals calculations, your biometric red zone tracking, none of it matters. The entire fate of your legacy and the mood of a country's economy tomorrow morning rests on whether a terrified 2-1-year-old kid can kick a piece of synthetic leather past a goalkeeper from 12 yards away. He misses. The ball sails over the crossbar into the night sky. The stadium erupts in a foreign roar. You watch the kid collapse onto the grass in tears. You walk onto the pitch, lift him up by his shirt, and shield him from the broadcast cameras. But internally, your stomach drops into a bottomless pit. You already know what awaits you back home. You are no longer a treble-winning genius. You are the man who failed the nation. Your tactical identity is about to be reduced to a cruel meme printed on the front page of every tabloid. You board the chartered flight home in absolute, suffocating silence, calculating your severance package, knowing the FA will sack you by Tuesday morning. Level 10, the database legend. You are 68 years old. You have been retired for 5 years. You live in a sprawling stone house in Surrey, with a gated driveway and a manicured lawn you pay a landscaping company to maintain. It is impossibly quiet. There are no press officers knocking on your door at 6:00 a.m. There are no agents calling your private number with subtle threats. There are no club chairmen demanding quarterly financial updates. The silence is absolute. It rings in your ears louder than 80,000 screaming fans ever did. You do not know what to do with it. You watch a Premier League match on a Saturday afternoon from a leather armchair. You watch a 3-1-year-old manager, a kid who never played a single minute of professional football, deploy a fluid 2-3-5 inches possession with inverted center backs and artificial intelligence-driven pressing traps. You watch his team dismantle an opponent. You realize with a cold, hollow certainty that your revolutionary 3-4-2-1 system is now considered archaic. It is analyzed on tactical blogs as a historical stepping stone, a relic of a bygone era. The sport outran you. It outruns everyone. You are a ghost in your own legend. You walk past the glass cabinet in your study. Inside are miniature replicas of the Champions League trophy, the Premier League title, the Manager of the Year awards. You look at them and feel absolutely nothing. They are just polished metal. You traded your marriage for that metal. You traded your children's formative years for that metal. You traded your central nervous system, your sleep, and your basic human empathy for that metal. You realize that you cannot remember the feeling of joy. You can only remember the fleeting, exhausting relief of not losing. Your most permanent existence is no longer physical. It is digital. You are a profile entry in the very football database that started your sickness 4 decades ago. Millions of people around the world interact with a simulated version of you. Your managerial attributes are frozen in lines of code. Tactical knowledge 2-0, level of discipline 19, motivating 18, adaptability 11. You are a static benchmark for teenagers to measure themselves against. But in the simulation, when the in-game calendar ticks over to the year 2035, your profile officially retires. Your digital avatar vanishes. You are replaced by a string of code. A regen staff member with a randomly generated grayed-out face and a generic name. The algorithm literally deletes your legacy to make room for the next calculation. You are entirely erased. You sit in the dark study. The sun goes down over the Surrey hills. You do not turn on the lights. Your hip aches from a decade of pacing technical areas in the freezing rain. Your heart flutters with a mild, chronic arrhythmia brought on by years of stress-induced cortisol spikes. You close your eyes and try to remember what it felt like to just love the sport. Before the expected goals models. Before the extortionate agent fees. Before the suffocating corporate pressure crushed the joy out of your marrow. You try to remember the feeling of just watching a ball hit the back of a net. You cannot find the memory. It was burned away a long time ago. Somewhere right now, a 16-year-old is sitting in front of a laptop screen. The only light in the room is the pale blue glow casting shadows on his face. It is 3:00 a.m. He is tweaking the individual pressing instructions of a virtual defensive midfielder in the third tier of German football. He is looking at the digital headlines praising his genius. He is imagining the stadiums, the trophies, the roar of the crowd, the respect. He has no idea what he is really wishing for. He has no idea what he's signing up for. He does not know that the screen is not a game. It is a mirror that will slowly consume his entire life, replacing his humanity with a database of cold, unbreakable numbers. He'll figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues.